Aloha and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to discuss the filming locations that were used in what was the first of two Christmas episodes throughout the production of Magnum. The title is Thank Heaven for Little Girls and Big Ones Too, and it aired on Christmas Day, December 25th, 1980. So without further delay, let's get into it. Our opening scene takes place at the Hawaii Film Studio inside of the old 50 soundstage here. And it's a shot of the estate wine cellar. This was the first time we ever saw the wine cellar. And we get a shot of Higgins upstairs in the estate main house living room, which was also a set inside the stage here. He's admiring a new Gauguin painting that Robin had acquired. And Magnum's down in the wine cellar making his selection when the lads come out of nowhere and pin him up against one of the wine racks there. Higgins comes down and puts an end to Magnum's free reign of the wine cellar. And they move back upstairs, and Magnum sees the new Gauguin painting for the first time. While up there, Mr. Masters' private line rings. Higgins picks it up and finds Rick on the other line. And we'll get to this location a little later in this video. Rick tells Magnum that he got a call stating that there was a potential client that wanted to meet him at the state capitol, which is where our next scene will take place. Here, Tom enters the building. And we see him, he walks along here, and in this frame, he's approximately right in here somewhere, walking towards this bench, and he sits down somewhere in there. And while there, he kind of scans the building and tries to figure out who his client is. And we get a shot of these tourists out here taking a picture of, oh no, wrong way, that way, taking a picture of that statue. Next, he's suddenly surrounded by 5 little girls who tell him that their teacher has gone missing and they need to find her before the next morning, or else she's going to be in big trouble. They want to hire Magnum to find her. However, he doesn't think he has enough time and that there's not enough leads to go on, and tells them there's really nothing he can do for him. Trying to match this up a little bit. They're heading that way. He finally agrees to help him out. Match this up a bit. Again, standing over here somewhere. And this gentleman here would have been standing right up against that wall there. Tom and the girls return to the estate, and Tom asks Higgins to let the girls stay in the main house overnight while he spends the night searching for their teacher. And I think this is one of the first really good looks that we see of the estate main house entrance set. Again, inside of the 50 soundstage. And Higgins reluctantly agrees to let the girls stay there for one night and only one night. And Magnum heads off to meet up with Rick in his office. And unfortunately, this driving shot just not enough to go on. And a little too dark. But hey, if somebody recognizes it, comment below. And back at the estate, we see Higgins has his hands full. The girls start to show a little too much interest in this new painting. And little does Higgins know that there's a reason for that. Higgins sends them to bed. And something unique about this shot is that this is actually Magnum's bedroom, redressed to look like a bedroom in the main house. And if you watched my first prop video, you'll recognize that phone. That is Magnum's telephone. Next, we see that Tom has arrived at Rick's office. First time we ever see a night shoot at Rick's office. And again, this location we'll cover in just a bit. But they start going through the teacher's bag, overnight bag, searching for clues. And they come up with a few addresses to go check out. Rick sees the address and lets him know that it's not exactly a high rent district. And Tom decides he'd better not go there alone. So he gives TC a call and invites him to dinner. And next we see Tom and TC on a very familiar street. We are back on Hotel Street, which up to this point has made an appearance in every single episode of Magnum. And if I drop down here, I believe I can match this up. There we go. So Tom and TC are walking down the sidewalk, and TC says something like, "I thought we were going to dinner, not the Last Supper." And they make their way across the street here. And again, another familiar sight, Club Hubba Hubba, which is right there. In fact, there is still, it's different signage, but there is still, to this very day, there's a Club Hubba Hubba sign up there, even though the club's been gone for, I think decades now. They continue down Hotel Street and go around the corner, and they enter into this bar that I have yet to identify. I do believe that it was in the general vicinity of Hotel Street. So if anyone recognizes this, please comment below. But they approach the bartender and they let him know that they're looking for this teacher, kind of describe her. He said he's not seen her. They then give him an address, which he recognizes as Mono's place upstairs. And Tom and TC leave the bar and start to head upstairs to that address. A bartender quickly calls up there and warns them, gives them a heads up that these two guys are coming up looking for this teacher. And the bartender thinks that it might be Mono's girlfriend that they're looking for. They enter, looks like Lucky's gym. Not sure if this was an actual gym or if it was just a location that they dressed to look like a gym. They approach this individual and they start asking about the teacher, and he has no interest in providing them with any information. This whole time, TC is just certain that this whole thing's going to go south, which it does, and they wind up having to fight their way out of there, which they do. And the next time we see them, they are rounding this corner right here, and running down Hotel Street, right here in the middle of the road. Again, right past Club Hubba Hubba, and continue down the street, and they round the corner, which will take us to this location. And I'm probably going to butcher the name of this street, Pauahi Street. It's just a few streets over from Hotel Street. And in this frame, we see them round this corner right here and run along the sidewalk to the Ferrari, which is parked here. And this street has changed significantly. As they make their way down the sidewalk, you see this Venus club here. That would have been this club right here. And in fact, the Ferrari would have been parked almost exactly where this truck is parked. TC and Tom jump in the Ferrari, and Tom disables the Ferrari's alarm, and they get out of there. Now this boxer, he calls Manu and lets him know that there were two guys that came into the gym looking for what he believes is Manu's girlfriend, who it's just a case of mistaken identity. She doesn't know anything about it, and he kind of starts to question her about who these guys were. Next, we see Tom and TC driving away, and TC starts to ask about this teacher, this lady that they just risked their lives for. And Tom begins to tell him the story about these 5 little girls who are searching for their missing teacher who ran off with some guy for the night. And TC can't believe what he's hearing and immediately says, "Let me out." And that takes us to this location. And I'll try and drop down and match this up. In this frame, the Ferrari is approximately right there. And they continue along and pull over right here at that curb there. And here's one of the giveaways is this chain holding this overhang right there. Starts right there. So that chain is that chain right there. But again, yeah, they pull over here at the curb, and TC, he wants no part of this nonsense, and he is out of there. And he rounds this corner right here. And you can also see, just make it out, this overhang, this radius of this overhang, and then you can see the chains holding it up. Make them out right there a little bit. And Tom takes off down the street here. And if we continue down the road here, we can get a better shot of this. So TC, he's out of there. And try and match this up. So again, you can see the chains and this overhang here. And this right there where that old station wagon is, the Ferrari was parked right there in front of it. And there's that Venus Club right there. Tom and TC, they rounded this corner, and ran down the sidewalk there to get into the Ferrari, basically where that Toyota truck is. But yeah, the street is significantly different than it was back in 1980. And we see this black car around the corner. Turns out this is two of Manu's henchmen, and they've come down to try and find the two guys that are looking for who they believe is Manu's girlfriend. And they turn and they start to pursue TC. And in our next scene, Tom decides his last lead is to go back to the hotel where the teacher and the girls were staying and see if he can find some clues there. And that will take us to Olohana Street. And if we drop down to here, in this frame, Tom pulls up to the curb right there, and he enters this hotel lobby area here. Makes his way up to the desk clerk, who is reading a Robin Masters novel. Begins to inquire about the teacher, and the clerk tells Tom that she's up in room 2409. So Tom heads up there, and that's where he meets Linda. Tom enters the room, and she's explaining that she didn't know that the girls were with him and that they're just these giant storytellers. And then the phone rings, and she picks it up, and the conversation just isn't right. I think she knows it. Tom knows it. He's starting to catch on that there's something going on with this story. And the girls are a little puzzled by what their teacher, Linda, had said to them. And Tom and Linda start back towards the estate. Again, driving scene, a little too dark. Don't know that I'll be able to ID that. But again, somebody may know. As they make their way back towards the estate, Tom he's starting to put the pieces together, and he understands that he's being conned, and Linda also realizes that Tom knows that they are conning him and Higgins. Tom and Linda arrive back at the estate just in time to catch the girls red-handed as they try to switch the Gauguin out with another painting. However, Linda explains that the Gauguin that was sold to Robin Masters was a fake, and they are only trying to replace it with the actual real Gauguin. Explains that she had made a deal with the seller of the Gauguin to replace it with a fake so that she could help pay for her sister's schooling, but she had a change of heart and was just trying to return the actual painting to Robin Masters. And at first, Higgins is adamant that he's going to call the authorities, and eventually allows them to leave. And they head back to the hotel, where they find the art dealer, and he wants the real painting back. Next, we see Rick and Tom having breakfast at the King Kamehameha Club just outside of Rick's office. Again, this was filmed at the Elks Lodge. And I'll drop down, and we can match this up. So yeah, the earlier shots in this episode inside of Rick's office, and where they'll return to here shortly, was inside of this room right here. And in this frame, Tom and Rick are having breakfast out here on the patio. And you can see it's a different railing today. And if I pan this way just a bit, you can match up the flagpole is in the exact spot it was in 1980. And then off in the distance there, you can make out this building here. A phone call comes in for Rick. He picks it up, and Moki's on the line, stating that there's a potential client here to meet with Magnum. And Rick says, send her up. And it is Linda. And they are in the office here for this scene. And she's tells Tom that the original owner of the painting arrived. He wants it back. And he's holding the girls in an undisclosed location that will get really hot later that day if he's not given the painting. Kind of sounds very, very similar to the storyline in China Doll in the last episode. So they head back to Robin's Nest. Inside of the soundstage. And Tom tells Higgins that they need that fake Gauguin back so they can give it to the art dealer and secure the safety of the girls. Higgins tells them that he threw it away and that it's out of the question. Tom tells him, well then, guess what? We have to use the real Gauguin. Higgins resists at first, but Tom basically shames him into agreeing to do it. They all jump in the Audi and they start heading back to Linda's hotel. And we'll drop down here. We get, line this shot up. There's the doorbell there. And the rocks still match up. Prior to this whole fence being torn down, it's gone now. The current owners have made a conscious effort, we'll say, to disguise where the estate was. Yeah, in this frame we can still match it up. They depart the estate. They turn north here on the Kalanianiole Highway, and as they turn, two of Mono's bodyguards, muscle, henchmen, whatever you want to call them, they spot Tom driving, and they do a pretty slick 180 here, and they turn. They whip around right here in the entrance to the estate and head north as well in chase of the Audi. And next, we get another very familiar location. And we find ourselves back up on the New Anu Poly Drive. And we'll drop down and match this up. In this frame, we see the Audi approximately here. And they round the bend here to another location that's been in, to this point, every episode of Magnum. There's the little waterfall that they shot over in the pilot. And they continue to head down the road there. Followed by the black, I guess it's a Cadillac, old Cadillac. And we see the Cadillac take the same path, which leads us to this location on Diamond Head Road. And we'll drop down and match it up. Let's see, let's move up just a bit here. So this is the curve here. And if I zoom in, you kind of sort of match it up. The Audi would have been about where that car is, right there. And from there, yep, they continue down the road. Cadillac's chasing. And they go to this next location here. This time we get the perspective of the Cadillac. Audi's there. There's a driveway right there with a utility pole and street light. And that utility pole, street light, and driveway entrance is right there. You can also make out in the distance this rock structure down here, down there. This one is here. Much more vegetation on it today. Looks great. And they continue around Diamond Head Road to the next location here. Drop down and match this up. This gate right there in that frame is this gate here. Audi would have been about right there. And as they make their way, here's kind of an easy giveaway for this. As they continue down the road. Oh, too far. Yep, you see the lighthouse here. And the chase kind of ends here at this next location. Just a little bit further down the road. Let's see, we'll drop down. Oh, here. They're side by side here, or looks like the Cadillac's just beginning to overtake the Audi. They would have been right through here in this shot. And the Cadillac swerves and cuts off the Audi right here in this parking lot. But yeah, Audi's here, Cadillac is here, and Manu's muscle gets out and lets them know that they're going to take a ride and they're going to go visit Manu, which is where they arrive at here. And we will head to Manu's house here, which was right. Oop, get rid of that. Manu's house is right here. And they come in, they see that TC is already there. And he wants to know why they're looking for his girlfriend. And in this shot, we can go down and kind of match this up a little bit. Behind his right shoulder here, you can make out a Cocoa Head crater right there. And Tom, he tries to explain. He's honest with him and tells him the truth. This is just one big misunderstanding, and Manu's not buying it. So Tom says, "What the heck?" And he starts to concoct this story where Manu's girlfriend had hired him because she thought that Manu's kind of right-hand man here was stealing from him and trying to take over his business. And turns out there was some truth to that, which TC can't believe. And Manu lets them all go. They head out the side gate to the front of the house and kind of match this up a little bit. So yeah, we'll pretend Audi is right here, and a very distinct roof line here. This kind of V almost on the front of the house, And then this very distinct roof line here. And they jump in the Audi and they get out of there as fast as they can. Which takes us to... And the next scene takes us to the War Memorial Natatorium. Here, in this frame, the Audi is approximately right there. And let's drop down. So yeah, Audi's driving in here. And swings into the lot. And parks right in here somewhere. Tom gets out with the actual Gogan, and he walks up to this gate right here. And he hops over the gate. We'll jump back up. Let's see. Let's go. What do we got here? There we go. Perfect. So yeah, Tom hops this gate and starts walking about somewhere in here. Yep. He would have been standing about right there in that shot. And he starts to head up a set of stairs right here to the top, to the little drop off, the drop point. And he leaves the painting right there. Comes back down the stairs, back out street side to the Audi, and they head back to Linda's hotel. Crooked art dealers across the street. He sees them drive away, jumps in his car, and he heads to the pickup point, the drop point. But unbeknownst to him, Rick is hiding in the water right down in here so that he can tail him once he's picked up the painting and he's left the war memorial. Funny story about this scene right here. In Larry Manetti's book, he tells a story where when they shot this scene, the directors, they told him, go underwater, count to 10, and then come back up, and we'll get the shot that we're looking for. But he was down there for all of like 3 seconds, and he saw an eel go swing past him, and he came flying up out of the water, and took him some time to get back down in there and get the shot again. But we see he has arrived, walking along here. Up the stairs he goes, picks up the painting, comes back down. Now this war memorial, from what I understand, it's in rough shape today. If I go back up, it's basically just falling apart, just crumbling. And I think it was, even at this point in 1980, I think it had been determined that it was no longer safe for use. I think it was in 79. So yeah, they would have gotten, special permits to film these scenes. But from what I understand, they are going to save it. They're going to rebuild it, and it will be someday open to the public once again. Yeah, Rick pops back up, sees that the art dealer's on his way out, and so he jumps out of the water. Yeah, art dealer, he is about right here, flying out of that parking lot. Look at that. That tire's off the ground. He's out of there. Rick makes his way to his car, and he starts chasing him. Funny kind of side note, that is the first car I ever purchased, but mine was white. And in our next scene, we see that Tom, TC, Higgins, and Linda have made it back to Linda's hotel, which is actually today is the Royal Garden Waikiki, and it's on the corner of Olohana Street and Alawai Boulevard. And in this shot, Tom's standing out on a balcony. I believe it's from this side, though. This building back in 1980 wasn't there. Let's see if I can drop down to street level and kind of match this up. Go here. So yeah, I would imagine that Tom is on one of these balconies here. And then it pushes in a little closer. And then you can see them in the room, the balcony behind them there. We'll go back up. And you can see the canal back there behind them. And they're waiting for the phone call from the art dealer to find out the location of the girls. He does call and lets Tom know that they're in a civil defense bunker at Diamond Head. As soon as Tom hangs up the phone, Higgins picks up the phone and he's calling 5-0. He wants to report a theft. And again, they didn't want to get the authorities involved, so TC walks over and grabs him. Just a classic scene. And Higgins is not a small guy. And Roger just picked him up like nothing and just whoop right out on the balcony. And you get this classic scene with Higgins screaming, "This is outrageous." And they leave him out there and they head towards the civil defense bunker. Down into the parking structure, they get the car. And we'll drop down and match this up. And like everything else, it looks different today. They're coming out of this lane right here. And Tom's calling Rick on the very early mobile cell phone there and ensuring that he follows the art dealer. They pull up and looks like it was the Royal Continental Hotel back in 1980. Yeah, they would have been about right there. And they head this way towards Diamond Head. And then as they pull away, the camera pans up to this shot of Higgins standing on probably one of these balconies right here as they drive away, and there's nothing he can do about it. We get a shot of the entrance of the bunker. And that bunker is here. And we'll drop down, take a look at it. Oh, too far. Looks a little different today. They've got so you can see this kind of radius here. All the gunite that they put in on the walls here. And it looks like in this kind of radius area here, they put in some ventilation. We get a shot of them driving towards it. Let's see here. Jump back up. And this road looks significantly different today. But they're making their way down this road here. they swing into the bunker entrance. Now, as I look at this, there's another bunker right there. So it actually might not be that one. It's probably this one, which I'm sure looks identical. But yeah, let's go back up here and take a look. Tough to say. It's either that one or that one. But they go up, break the lock, and I'm not sure. I'm trying to decide if this is the actual interior of that or that bunker, or if that's inside the soundstage. I can't imagine that they went through all that trouble just for this one location. But yeah, it could go either way. It could be the real thing or something that they built inside of the 5.0 soundstage. If you were involved in this episode and you know, yeah, I'd love to know if this was in fact inside of one of these or if this was inside the soundstage. But they go in, they rescue the girls, and then we get this kind of establishing shot at the Honolulu International Airport. And we'll go there now. And it's kind of a neat shot. It's clear across the airfield, and then they just push in. Again, the lenses that they used to film Magnum were just, it blows my mind how far they can zoom and how big they make things. And so I believe that this was over this, the film crew was over on the general aviation side of the airport. Let's see, here, somewhere in here. Obviously on the other side of these hangars. And then they just kind of zoom in. Well, that's as far as I can go. But yeah, they just zoomed in to the tower to kind of get that establishing shot at the airport. And then we get this shot. Get rid of that. We'll go back up over the airport. Now, this next scene, I do believe that it was at the airport. Again, filmed 45 years ago. This airport has changed a lot in 45 years. But they pull up to this, like a pickup or a drop-off curb, and they jump out of the Audi and they race into, I'm guessing, the terminal. Again, I poked around everywhere I could. I couldn't see anything that matched up to these frames. But they head down a set of escalators, meet up with Rick. They come up with a quick plan to swap out whatever's in here. We never find out what's in there, but to swap this out with the Gauguin. So Tom, he's gone through the screening checkpoint, and he's waiting and watching. And TC and Rick are on the unsecure side of screening, watching and waiting. And here he comes down the escalator, tries to go through the metal detector, and TC quickly jumps in front of him, starts to stall. He has set his briefcase down and the painting down, and she grabs it and starts to send it through the machine. Like there. And he's very nervous and watching the painting the whole time, and TC just continually stalls, keeps purposefully leaving keys and all kinds of stuff in his pocket. It's a funny scene. So this guy, he's had enough, and he moves over to the next lane, and Rick jumps in front of him and basically does the exact same thing. Distracts him, and Tom moves in, and he swaps out his tube with the painting. He eventually makes it through and grabs his briefcase and his painting. However, it's not the painting, and they make a joke that they'd love to see his face when he opens the tube and sees what's inside of it. But yeah, I do believe this was all filmed here at the Honolulu International Airport. Just don't know where. If you were involved in the production of this episode and you know, or you worked at the airport and any of this looks familiar from back in 80, yeah, please comment below. And then we get an establishing shot back at Robin's nest. Yeah, let's see here. Basically, that shot there. And the painting is safely back at Robin's nest. And that is a wrap on Thank Heaven for Little Girls and Big Ones Too. The next episode that I'll cover in this filming location series will be No Need to Know. Just want to say thank you so much for watching it. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.